Hey, to make sure you better understand what we recommend at Inspire Nation, why we tell you certain tools to use, why we know we can help you to grow another 10 million in revenue or 10 million in premium if you're a captive agency. I'm going to walk you through the customer journey. I think that's going to really paint the picture for you. One thing that you can understand is, what does my customer experience through this entire interaction with our agency? So let's go through the customer journey. First, I want to start off by talking about the 6 ways an insurance agency makes money, because that's the whole point of doing this, is to make sure you have a profitable agency. So there's new policy sales. This is not cross sales, up sales. These are brand new prospects that come through the door. Then there's new policies for existing customers. That's account rounding, upselling, cross-selling, things like that. There's increasing coverage limits on existing customers. Yes, every time you add towing, you add rental, you add water backup, you add jewelry, you increase revenue for the agency. Then, of course, there's retention, which is the foundation of our business. Then there's profit sharing and bonuses, depending on if you're captive or independent and what carriers you work with. And then for those of you that charge broker fees, that's the 6th way you make money, is broker fees. There are 4 types of prospects or customers. There's self-sale, self-service. That means they want to do it all themselves. There's self-sale, professional service. That means I want to buy it myself, but when there's a problem or an issue, I want to talk to someone. Then there's professional sale, self, which is I want you to explain everything so that I don't make a dumb buying decision. But once I've bought it, I want you to leave me alone. Give me a mobile app, give me something like that. I don't need to have to call you, or I don't want to call you every single time I need something with my account. Then there's the traditional professional sale, professional service. I talk to you when I bought it. I talk to you every time I need something taken care of. Guys, what's happening in our industry is that it's shifting. The ratio is shifting. It used to be professional sale, professional service took over everything. Now there's a lot more self-sale, self-service, but it doesn't mean agents are going to go away. It simply means that those low ticket, low service items like renter's insurance, you're not going to need to talk to an agent. And you should have things on your site that allow people to do self-sale, self-service. What are the factors that determine which journey the customer chooses? First, it's how complicated the insurance product is to understand or to get issued. The more complicated a product is, the more professional sale, professional service kicks in. Next is the technology options the agency provides to the customer. Some of you guys are not going to provide any technology options. Some of you want to provide all technology options. But this is part of the journey that the customer goes through. How easy the agency technology makes it for the customer to do what they want to accomplish. You can have all kind of technology, but if it's difficult to use, if the agent can't understand it, if the customer can't understand it, then what's the point in it? And then finally, the mentality of the customer or the prospect. Some customers are like, you know what? I want to talk to an agent every time I have a problem. And then some customers are like, you know what? I don't want to talk to an agent hardly ever at all. So what's their mentality? Like I said earlier, it's not that agents are going to go away. It's just that our job is shifting based on the 4 types of customers and prospects that we deal with. There are tools that all kind of tools that are available to the agency. And this list kind of recommends our tools based on the customer journey. This list will make more sense as we go through the customer journey. So this session starts with the customer completing an online quote request. They travel through the various stops on the relationship journey, including receiving emails and text messages, completing the application, billing and paying, endorsement claims, scheduling appointments, all that kind of stuff, renewals, everything. Hopefully, this session will open your eyes and mind to the insurance customer's relationship journey from an insurance customer standpoint. Instead of the agent just forcing stuff on the customer, think about the customer. So now let's start the customer journey. So in this scenario, we're going to say the agency created SEO and call to action focused written and video content. They used tools like ChatGPT or Bard or whatever tools are available at the time that you're watching this, but they put it out there. They put out video, they put out written content. And so the customer has, or the prospect in this case, has an opportunity to go out and find that. So first question, have you created and posted SEO written and video content on your website, your Google for Business, YouTube, etc.? That's your first question you need to answer. Next, the prospect Google searches car insurance in my city or zip code. So does your agency appear on Google Maps? That's the next question you need to answer in this journey. Does your agency appear on Google Maps? Is your agency one of the top 3 organic results? So now the customer says, I see this agency. They're one of the top 3 results, and they've got a lot of reviews, and they have an FAQ page. Great. They're answering questions for me that I'm going to ask. So here are your questions. Is your Google My Business profile set up? Is it up to date? Is it keyword optimized? How many Google reviews does your agency have? Do you have 1? Do you have 100? Do you have none? And does your agency have, or does your website have an FAQ page? An frequently asked questions. Guys, you get asked the same 20, 25 questions all the time. Why not create video content and written content and put it out on your site? Google's going to love it. The customer's going to love it. The prospect's going to love it. So you definitely want an FAQ page. So now, sticking with that customer journey, the customer reads info on the FAQ page. They watch your agency introduction video. So does your agency, another question for you, does your agency have an agency introduction video on YouTube that is also embedded on your website? And what tools are you using to create an agency introduction video? I mean, there are all kinds of tools that are out. As of this recording, we use tools like Loom, Zoom, Pictory.ai. But again, depending on when you're watching this video, there could be all kind of new technology that's out. The main thing is you have to have an agency introduction video. It needs to be on YouTube. It needs to be embedded in your website, and you choose whatever tools you want to use to create that video. Now, continuing the customer journey, the agent or the customer is now on the agency website, and that prospect has 4 options to get a quote. They can use the quote request form that you guys have out there. Your rater is linked to it, or maybe it's just a static form. They can use a chat bot. There's a click to call functionality, and they can email or text the agency. So looking at your website, how many options does a site visitor have to get a quote on your website? Next, the customer decides to use the chatbot for the quote because they don't want to talk to an agent. Guys, if you'll scan this QR code, this is to our example chatbot for all of our partner and even for some of our member agencies. We recommend a chatbot. We have our own chatbot development team here at Inspire Nation. So if that's something you think you're interested in, just shoot us an email or something to helpdesk@inspirenation.org, and let's see if it's a good fit for you. But in this particular scenario, the customer decided, I think I want to use the chatbot. As soon as they put in their information, they talk to that chatbot, the prospect receives an autoresponder email and text message with a link to an appointment scheduler. So here are your questions. Does the agency have an automated email and text message autoresponder sequence for lead follow? Does the agency use an appointment scheduler to manage meetings and appointments? Also, the prospect immediately receives a follow-up call from an appointment setter or licensed producer, if that's who you have doing this, to verify the information and continue the process. So does your agency have a standard lead follow-up process? What tasks are your unlicensed team members performing in the agency? Guys, a lot of this stuff can be done by VAs and unlicensed people. Even if you don't want them customer facing, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff can be done by VAs and unlicensed people. So the unlicensed staff in this particular case, they follow up until they get that contact or get that prospect, right, on the phone. They're talking to them. They get the current deck page information. They input the data into the rater or carrier site. They warm transfer that prospect to the producer, if you guys are doing warm transfers in your office, or after they gather that data, they create an activity and assign it to the producer to contact that prospect. Now, one of the things that we do, we don't just leave it as a task. We also have that person, whoever's talking to that customer, they actually schedule the appointment right then and there for the producer on that call. So again, does your agency have a standard lead follow-up process? And what tasks are your unlicensed team members performing in the agency? Continuing on what's through that customer journey, that staff that they're talking to, that appointment setter, they send out the agency introduction video again. They schedule a follow-up appointment between the prospect and the licensed agent, and they continue performing the 11 key tasks that all non-licensed staff are trained to do. Here's questions for you. Does your unlicensed staff know how to use the appointment calendar to book appointments for your licensed team? I'm going to go through the 11 tasks here that we train all our licensed and unlicensed people to perform in the agency. So we teach them agency standards. We teach them how to audit a policy. They learn how to complete our review form. They learn how to create a task and assign that task to someone else. They learn how to complete a paper quote. They learn how to complete a quote in the agency's main quote engine. They learn how to complete a quote in the agency's top 3 carrier sites. They learn how to complete accord forms or whatever main forms you guys use. If you're captive, you're probably not using accord forms. You're using something else. But regardless, whether you're commercial or health or Medicare or PNC or whatever, there are forms that you know you need to complete. And so we make sure that our team is trained on the main forms that we use. They learn to process certificates of insurance. They learn how to manage the upcoming policy renewal process, and they learn how to manage our policy cancellation and termination process. These are 11 tasks that everybody in the agency is trained on. Not everybody is assigned to the task, but everyone is trained on those tasks. So who walks the prospect through using the appointment scheduling tool when you're doing a follow-up? Well, it's whoever's talking to that person. So that means that in order to do that, you have to have an online appointment scheduler such as Calendly or Bookings if you're an Outlook person. And all customer-facing team members should be shown on that calendar tool. That means they have to keep their availability up to date, right? That means they have to make sure that their calendar is always in sync with the appointment scheduler. So you got to make sure you're doing that. Now, customer finally gets to the producer. So the unlicensed person pretty much handle all of this process all the way up until now. Now the producer takes over, the licensed person. So they discuss coverage, they discuss price, they either close that sale or they prepared a video proposal. Now you can do the video proposal before you actually talk to that person. So my question is, who in your agency is using video proposals? What tools are you using to create your video proposals? Now that producer, once they get that person and they've closed the deal on them, they kept following up, video proposal, chat, meetings, whatever, they finally got them closed. Now they take an e-payment. So what are you guys using for e-pay solutions? They remind the customer to sign the decline coverage form. That decline coverage form, as you go through our training, you'll see is extremely important. It is a money maker. So they sign the decline coverage form. They make sure that they send the decline coverage form. That can be your producer, your non-licensed person. I don't care who sends it. Somebody has to send it. They help the customer schedule a new customer onboarding meeting. This is so important. A lot of people are missing the piece on this that could really separate your agency from everyone else, which is I wrote you, but I'm not done with you. I wrote you. Now we're going to have another meeting 10 days, 14 days out, depending on your carriers and how long it takes them to issue stuff. And we're going to have that new customer onboarding meeting, right? And so I can either create that or I can create a task for the new customer team, but we're going to have that meeting. So here are my questions for you. Does your agency conduct a new customer onboarding meeting 10 to 14 days after writing the policy? That new customer onboarding meeting, most of it can be done by an unlicensed staff. As long as that person is not discussing coverage, that means the steps of the new customer onboarding process can actually be performed by a non-licensed person. What are some of those steps? Well, they verify that the decline coverage form was signed. They walk the customer through downloading the agency's mobile app. They ask the customer to provide a Google review. They verify that the new customer drip email and text messages are triggered to go out, because that should just be one button, and then they get a series of emails over the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever you guys decide. But they should get a series of emails. So here are my questions for you. Does your agency have a mobile app? Is your agency asking all new customers to write a Google review? Does the agency have automated drip emails and text messages that go out to the new customer? This is what your CRM is used for, right? Whether you're using Insured Mind or Agency Zoom, or it's coming through your Easy Links, or it's coming, whatever, it doesn't really matter. You should have a sequence for the new customer of emails and text messages that go out that have very specific messages. Connect with us on social. Give us a Google review. Make sure you sign your decline coverage form. Select an emergency contact. I mean, these are separate messages that go out as part of that sequence. Now, customer's happy. You've done your new customer onboarding. You got everything. Now you have to think about the relationship beyond that. When that customer contacts the agency to make a payment or process a policy change, there should be a confirmation email that's sent out. Also a confirmation text. And it should be based on agency standards. Remember, there are 3 standards in an agency: no coverage, low coverage, and there should be 3 quotes per customer. Meaning, maybe I wrote you a renter's policy when you first signed up, but I'm not done, because our standard is every customer gets 3 quotes eventually, right? So these are those standards: no coverage, low coverage, and 3 quotes per policy, per customer, excuse me. So does your agency use confirmation email templates that mention agency standards, policy weaknesses, possible consequences? In our video libraries, this is module 2. We give you a bunch of templates, and those templates are set up, especially your confirmation email, so that the email mentions agency standards, policy weakness, possible consequences, in case your people won't. Let your technology do the things your people won't do or can't do. Is that decline coverage form sent to the customer anytime a major weakness is identified? Guys, as you go through this training, you'll see that decline coverage form is powerful. So every interaction with a customer triggers a possible policy weakness conversation and a possible sending of the decline coverage form. But in order to do that, you have to answer these questions for your agency. Does your agency have written agency coverage and policy standards? Does your team send a decline coverage form when that customer declines the agency standards? There's a claims process that we go through here at Inspire Nation. And most of those tasks on the claims process can be done by unlicensed people. Okay, your VAs or unlicensed people can perform the claims process. Late pay and cancellation. Again, this is our unlicensed staff. They manage the late pay and cancellation. Our customer renewal. For us, 150 days out starts our commercial process for renewal. 60 days out starts our personal lines process for renewal. And our unlicensed staff, they do 90% of the process. They run the renewal audit. They look for policy weaknesses and items that the carrier might need. They prepare that Inspire Nation review form that you'll see as you're going through our training. They create a task for the CSR or the producer. CSR is customer service rep, or the producer, and then they attach that summary form. So that means they're doing 90% of the work for the producer. That means all the producer has to do is look at that form, see what the weaknesses are, contact that customer, and either upsell, cross-sell, round out the account, do what they have to do, right? Or maybe the customer says, I don't want to do anything, and then they make sure that the customer signs a decline coverage form. Are you using tools like Slack or Teams to communicate for interagency communication? This is really important, especially if you're using a virtual assistant or a non-licensed person or a remote staff. You've got to have some way of communicating back and forth, instant messaging, putting notes out there, attaching forms, assigning things. And it just, your agency management system a lot of times can do a lot of this. But when it comes to that instant communication, I really like Slack or Teams if you're an Outlook person. If you're Outlook, you should be using Bookings for your appointment scheduler, and you should be using Teams for your inter office communication. That's what I believe. Now these tools should make more sense to you. Standards, keyword research, ChatGPT or Bard, your agency website and your FAQ page, your agency introduction video, your Google My Business, Google reviews, QR codes, chatbots. electronic business cards, appointment scheduler, video proposal tool, autoresponder emails and text message, a power dialer if you're using outbound phone calls, ePay, electronic signature tools such as your decline coverage form, agency branded mobile app, again, that electronic decline coverage form, drip email, life insurance. We should be discussing life insurance, Google review links, fillable form templates, commercial pre-renewal audit tool, personal lines renewal audit tool, customer website portal, agency management system, CRM. These tools should make sense to you now. But more importantly, there should be 3 basics when it comes to customer interaction. There should be written standards that everybody in that agency understands, policy weaknesses where we discuss no coverage, low coverage, or you're missing that complementary policy because we have a 3-quote minimum, and then core email templates and scripts. We should all be on the same communication platform. We should all pretty much say the same things the same way. And this is why you use templates. This is why you use email templates. This is why you use scripts. This is why you use text message templates, so that we will never forget to mention a weakness. We'll never forget to mention our standards. We'll always make sure that we're sending decline coverage forms. This is why we do what we do. So let me ask you a question. Is your agency prepared for today's technology-driven process? I don't know. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. But you're an Inspire Nation now. You're a part of our family. Go through the modules, module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because those are like the vowels of language. You know, in the English language, you have 6 vowels: A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. And you cannot make a word in the English language without one of those 6 vowels, one or more of those 6 vowels. Well, guess what our vowels are in the video and document library? It's modules 1 through 6. You complete those, you can build anything you want to build because your foundation will be so strong. Hopefully this made some sense. Hopefully this helps you to understand that journey and why we recommend the tools that we recommend and why we tell the processes and teach the processes the way that we teach them. So if you have any questions, always email us at helpdesk@inspirenation.org. Visit our website. Or, of course, you can text message. If you're an active member, you can text message us at 682-836. Again, that's 682. You'll probably get the fastest response by texting, to be honest with you. 682. Why isn't this written down on this slide deck? Because that's mainly for our customers, and I don't know who's going to see this slide deck, and I don't want every spammer out there texting us. So that's why I didn't write it down. All right, guys, get into the video library. Start with module 1. Work yourself through the library. Let's get this customer journey in place. Okay? Appreciate you so much. Bye, guys.